Monday, July 13th, 2020 here at Cape Ann today. Heather and I are going to share two more great interviews with you to start off our week. The first is with Cape Ann Chamber of Commerce CEO Ken Riehl, who touched upon a bunch of different subjects.
Yes, he did. Phase 3 of reopening businesses on Cape Ann and everywhere else, and 2 new businesses added to the community. So tell us about Phase 3. How are the Phase 3 reopenings going on Cape Ann?
Yeah, it is a mixed bag. You know, the restaurants, thank goodness, can now serve indoors, and of course, a lot of them that have extension of premises have been using that already, and also doing takeout. But mixed bag with our restaurants. The hospitality industry in general has been so badly hurt by the pandemic, and so our restaurateurs, our retailers, and our cultural, you know, and attractions they can now open. The cultural organizations can open next week, and many of them are planning on doing that, which is terrific. I think Cape Ann Museum is going to wait a little longer, but many of the others, including Hammond Castle and Manchester Historical Museum in Manchester, are going to open, certainly at you know, much reduced capacity. And our whale watches are running again, which is terrific. They're up and running now for, you know, probably a week, not that long, and they're at 50% capacity. So that they're covering their bills is what's happening, and but they're not making any money, and so, you know, they need to get running at a higher rate to be able to start to actually bank some stuff, because the summer, as you guys know, is so short here, and we got to make our money over the next few months, and then get us into next year. So it's been tricky. I will say that a lot of the rest of the business community is doing okay. You know, the financial services sector, the support services, our CPAs, our attorneys, our contractor community is actually doing pretty well. You know, what's interesting is, so you know, we're uncomfortable going on vacation, and so we have a little bit of disposable income, those of us that are still working, and so we tend to spend our money around the house, which is great for our landscapers, and you know, we have some house projects we want to get done. And so generally our contractors are doing pretty well, and our support services, like I was talking to the building center the other day, they're having a good year. I know some industries are up a lot. Some of the recreational industries, like the biking businesses, are doing really well. Their challenge now is that they're running out of inventory. So it's interesting. The businesses really that have been and continue to suffer are the tourism businesses. And related to that are the events. You know, Gloucester's canceled all their events through much of August, and there's a lot that's kind of been replanned for September, but that's very tenuous depending on the rates. I will say, I'll put a plug in that we are going to be doing the 3 block parties, but we're doing them very differently, to the extent that we're actually going to rename and rebrand them, call them Shop, Stroll, and Dine. And the idea is to support our local Main Street businesses and to get our locals and our visitors to come downtown Main Street. The first one is this Saturday on the 18th, and street closes at 5, and kind of everybody will be opening up and coming out on the street as possible by 6. And so we want to encourage our locals to come down and patronize all of our Main Street businesses, and help out those retailers and restaurants in particular as they can, because they're hurting. And they have wonderful product and great food, and now's the time to come on down and show your support for the area. So we are going to do those events just very differently, and then we're looking at doing some of our other events as well. In Manchester, the big one is Festival by the Sea, and we're looking at doing that later in the summer. That was supposed to happen on August 1st, and we've tentatively worked a new date with the town, August 29th. And of course, it's dependent on the governor's guidance at the time, and everything is dependent on the COVID rates. You know, if the rates go up from where they are now, then you know, everything is subject to be canceled. But right now, as you guys well know, Massachusetts is looking relatively good compared to the rest of the nation, and the question is whether we can hold those rates.
Well, Ken, we wanted to talk about a couple interesting businesses that have hit the landscape lately. We want to talk about Gloucester Bio.
Yeah, thanks, Corey. Fascinating business. I was up there the other day. So they're at Blackburn Industrial Park in what was Gloucester Engineering, occupying 10,000 plus square feet, and have pivoted
Yeah.
their business in a really interesting way to make hand sanitizer. And they are gearing up, not just in a small way to support the local community. They are gearing up in a major way to sell to the world. And so they are going to have some big machinery in there. They have invested heavily already in the technology, and now they're buying literally hundreds of thousands of bottles of different sizes to sell a really unique and nice hand sanitizer solution that's spray based. So it basically goes on very easily and is comfortable on your hands, and basically you don't need a towel to wipe it off. It just kind of evaporates over time. So it's a terrific product, and they're up and running now and have a discount for Cape Ann. All Cape Anners, anybody who comes in with the Cape Ann zip code, gets a 50% discount. And so that's terrific. They've also been working with another local business who we all love, Ryan and Wood, and I'm looking to see how they can support each other. They're going to be gearing up at a much different level than Bob Ryan has. So I highly recommend you check out their website, gloucesterbio.com. I think it is. The product is right on there as a product sheet. Put in a Cape Ann zip code as a discount code, and their pricing is terrific. And you can either pick it up there or have it delivered. And so that's a really interesting story. Blackburn Industrial is changing over. There's some other big businesses that are moving into Gloucester Engineering. There's another huge business up there. Of course, Happy Valley is going to be opening up their doors next week. We've got a big ribbon cutting plan for them. And so business is still developing around the community, which is good to see.
Mm-hmm.
And you were talking about the scale of Happy Valley. Do you just want to describe those, what's going on there for us?
Yeah, it is a big grow facility, and they'll also have a retail store there. So they are geared up to sell, again, not just locally, they're geared up to sell around New England and even or more broadly than that. So it is a big facility up there, and it's going to be really interesting to see how they manage that and how they contribute to the community.
And it's all inside under grow lights, right?
Yeah, and everything's inside, exactly right. And I know that they've gone through a lot of work with the mayor and the city council to ensure that they're operating, within all of the safety regulations that's required. And so it's going to be exciting to have them in business here.
You're obviously talking to business and community leaders around the clock. What's morale like now that we're in the dog days of summer here?
Yeah, good question, Corey. So in the beginning, it was all about the loan programs. We were advising all of our businesses to go after the two big loans, Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And most of them have, and most of them have benefited at a minimum from the PPP, which can be set up as a grant. And a lot of them have benefited from that. So that's the good news. They have received some funds to cover losses over the last couple of months. The big question is now going forward is what's going to happen to the business environment, and can they make money now that they're outside of that loan period? The other dynamic, which is really interesting, is that the unemployment program out of Washington that provides $600, for unemployment wages has kind of hurt especially the seasonal businesses, because some of those part-time employees are not so motivated to come back to the jobs. And so a lot of our restaurants and accommodations and even attractions are short-staffed right now. And that's a problem. That should end the end of this month. I believe that program ends. But right now it's, businesses are trying to open their doors, but with very little staffing. And so I would say in general, the business community is stressed. Everyone's trying to figure out how to operate, even those businesses that are doing well. How do you operate in a safe manner with masks, with your hand sanitizer, keeping physically distant? within your establishment and outside. And we're all just trying to figure it out day by day. And the city has been a terrific partner in sharing information. That the COVID task force still meets once a week. And I think it's done a great job, and the business community is working together, at a level that I haven't seen before, which is wonderful. It's a real kind of spotlight on Cape Ann that we've pulled together in such a way to try to help each other out through this pandemic.
Well, it sounds as if Gloucester Bio will keep us all prepared if there is another wave. So
will Happy Valley.
Thank you, Corey.
Yeah.
And I do recommend that you guys get up there and do interviews with both of those businesses. That are really interesting. Yeah. I know we don't have a lot of time here. I did want to say that our new facility on Harbor Loop is actually getting close to a move-in date. I've been saying that now for 3 months, but I think we're finally starting to see the end. The flooring is actually going in now, and we hope to be starting to move in there toward the end of July. And that's going to be an incredible space, and I can't wait to get you guys in there and to see it with us and to help us show it off to the community. It's a wonderful new visitor area with some large monitors, have beautiful imagery of the region and some wonderful artwork. And then our collaboration center will be a very large modern conference area with large touchscreen display and all the amenities of a nice modern conference room that is open to all of our members in the community. You just need to schedule the use with us. So I'd love to have you there and to show you around, and the staff area is going to be very nice as well. We're very excited to be down there.
There's a lot of nice things happening on the Harbor Loop, so I think the city is looking fresh down there.
Yeah, it's Schooner Adventure has decided not to sail this year, which is certainly unfortunate, and I'm sure you guys just saw that they've decided to cancel Schooner Festival. Mm-hmm. But better to err on the side of safety, and so we'll set that aside for this year and look forward to doing it even bigger next year.
Well, Ken, hats off to everyone in the chamber for all the work you and the gang there are doing. Not easy times, but we're working through it the best we can. So we'd love to catch up with you soon, and we want to throw out that date next Saturday, July 18th, is the Shop, Stroll, and Dine, downtown Gloucester.
Until we change the ordering of the words or call it something else. Exactly right, Corey. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for all that you do. It's terrific.
Thanks, Kim.
So, Corey, I understand you will be at the Happy Valley ribbon cutting?
I'll be very happy at the new Valley up there. Yeah, we'll be there Thursday morning checking that out. So maybe we'll do something live. But it's big news just for Gloucester in general, because I know a lot of people who already work there. So not a lot of new jobs have been opening up. So that's good to see. And I think they're going to do all right.
I think they will. And I'm really glad to hear about the new jobs. That's great.
Yeah. Our second interview today is with Susan Doughty. She is with Senior Care, Inc., and she speaks about dementia and caregivers.
I just want to add that we already spoke to Deborah Schwendeman about this subject, but Susan Doughty is a caregiver support specialist in this field.
Supporting caregivers that are caring for a care recipient with dementia, it has to be one of the most challenging caregiving acts. They have things that are in flux from hour to hour at some points, and the most important piece to it is to know that you're not alone. There is help for this. There are many caregivers that change their lives and change the lives of the person they're caring for, their care recipient, just by reaching out for help. There seems to be a little bit of a fear to take that step. Caregivers have relayed to me that they're afraid that someone will come in and take over and they won't have choices, or that if someone has dementia that they can't be at home, and that's far from the truth. What we do at Senior Care and many other colleagues in hospitals, we work collaboratively to help keep people in the home if that's what's best and what they want to do. There are so many options to keep someone at home safely. I think once someone takes that step or talks to another caregiver that has had success in changing their situation, their quality of life for both caregiver and care recipient, that's how we get a lot of referrals. We get them from medical professionals, doctors, nurses, case managers, the hospitals, council on aging. A lot of the referrals come from caregivers that have already managed that journey, that have seen the improvements and the help, and they don't feel so isolated. And we know isolation is a big piece to depression and anxiety. So even current studies show socialization, lack of isolation is one of the best treatments for people with dementia as well as their caregivers. That's one of the 3 top recommended strategies to improve quality of life.
How are you facilitating that, providing interactions for those with dementia and for the caregiver?
So there's several ways to go about it. Everyone has different needs. Some people need to understand how to talk to a person with dementia without causing them agitation, which in turn causes stress and agitation for the caregiver. So it's about learning dementia and kind of learning dementia behaviors and observing them to know when to apply certain techniques. Like, this is a new normal. So where you might before have said to someone, oh, let's go here and then we're going to do this errand and this errand, that's very overwhelming and stressful for someone with dementia. There's too many moving parts to that. So you want to break it down simply. You want to say like, oh, let's leave, we're leaving now, we're going to go here. Don't say like, a week from Tuesday, we have a doctor's appointment. That's with the normal situation. You and I would say, oh, okay, I'll put it on my calendar, and we're not stressed. When we look at our calendar that week, we know what we're doing. Someone with dementia can perseverate on that and be really stressed and not sure if that's in the next minute. And then if they forget, they're going to perseverate on that. And that's difficult for both people. So you kind of have to learn a new type of communication when someone has dementia. And there were so many caregivers dealing with individuals with cognitive decline. There's so many situations. You also have to make sure you're in touch with your physician, your primary care physician, your neurologist, just so that you can rule out anything that either looks like dementia but isn't dementia, or exacerbates the dementia, sudden changes that you notice. The caregiver is the expert on their care recipient. There are medications to help, and if you see a difference with the medications, positive or negative, it's important to let your medical team know. They need to know things are working. Sometimes you'll get medications, not just for dementia, but for other conditions. And if the doctor doesn't hear from you, it's an assumption that, oh, that's working, that's great. Sometimes the medication is perfect, it's just the wrong dose. So the expert or the caregiver needs to keep them abreast of what's going on, because they know what the normal is. Another big piece to this is adapt into a new normal. Oftentimes, when someone has dementia, we feel like we have to try to bring them back to what we would normally do, what we would normally say, what they would normally enjoy or be comfortable with, like holidays. They might have enjoyed having friends and family all through the house and the yard, and standing room only. This is overwhelming to people with dementia at different stages. So the new normal there would be limit the number of people there so they don't get stressed. People with dementia often relay getting embarrassed. They say, to quote several, they say, oh, I feel stupid, I can't remember this, or I don't know that person. So their caregiver can say, oh, you remember Mary, when you're approaching someone, so they don't have to struggle and feel embarrassed, oh, I should remember this. Communication is key. You really want to meet someone where they're at. And we know that short-term memory is the difficult piece here. Long-term memory, that part of the brain seems to be more resilient. So if you want to talk to someone that has dementia and they want to talk about 20 years ago, 40 years ago, and they have this crisp memory of details, join them in that conversation. That's where they feel comfortable. And then you can have a fairly normal conversation in a lot of cases. It's all about learning the new normal. And caregivers have applied some techniques from things they've learned from books. There are websites. We can connect people with all kinds of resources. But you can learn how to speak to someone. It's very therapeutic for both of you. There are also techniques if someone's agitated and to know when to report that to the medical professionals. Or sometimes you need to walk away. Do not argue with someone with dementia. It's like arguing with a young child. You know, nobody's going to win this one. You know, you have to just learn, meet them where they're at. The biggest piece to it is caregiver burnout. Oftentimes when I call caregivers to work with them, I'll describe what I do as a caregiver support specialist. And I'll say something like, oh, and a piece to my work is to prevent caregiver burnout. Oftentimes I hear laughter on the other end of the phone or crying. It's like way past that. And I said, well, the other piece is to treat caregiver burnout. So the people that you work with and see the changes are just wonderful. I mean, they pass on the information to other people. Like, how many times I've had a new caregiver come into a group or an individual consult and say, oh, you know, my neighbor Joe up the street, yeah, he told me, yeah, over the fence, I was telling him about, you know, my wife or, you know, and, oh, call these people, call this girl. She helped me when, you know, my wife was. So there are options. Always want to have a backup plan too. That's really important. I had a caregiver in her 30s caring for a parent in their 70s. And I talked to her about a backup plan. And she had said, oh, no, I'm fit. I'm fine. I'm in my 30s, stepped off a curb, broke her ankle. So her dad that had some cognitive decline was kind of left without a backup plan. So I use her example a little bit. You always want a respite plan so that you can get a week or two off or a weekend, or respite is the most critical point to a caregiver not getting burnt out. So
fascinating.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Susan, now that we're 4+ months into the pandemic, what has morale been like with the caregivers that you've been working with?
With me, you mean? No, just kidding.
No.
And then you tell us yours.
Yeah, no. Well, of course, it's much more difficult. A lot of the caregivers had respite with their care recipient going to adult day health during the day. And that was their respite time. And there are workers going in the home. However, many people have elected not to have individuals in the home. So there's a lot more pressure on these caregivers and care recipients. So we would have several monthly caregiver support group meetings at Senior Care, different cities and towns every month. And what we're doing now is we're doing a telephonic call-in every week. We're doing it Tuesday mornings. And they really enjoy talking to each other. The caregivers just bond immediately. They have this common, challenge. And they're best of friends. They're great, It's a wonderful process to watch because people they're isolated. They think they're alone, or I don't want people to know, or I'm embarrassed because they might say a swear or yell, and this is common now until they solve it. But this is common now, and it's hard pressed to find a family that doesn't understand it or hasn't been touched by it. And the nursing home issue, if you can't go in the nursing home to visit them, you need to know that they're staffed with healthcare professionals. No nursing home wants to ever be known that they're not taking care of people. Like, caregivers are concerned about that. And they said they're getting good care. There's all kinds of people around them, and they're not alone. Anytime, I've heard people in nursing homes say, I didn't want to go at first. I liked my apartment, but I met all these friends. There was someone I knew when I was younger. And if I feel like company, I just go out and have coffee with 3 people. If I want to be alone, I go in my room. So, and they're having experts take care of them. So they're not alone, so it's difficult, of course, for caregivers not to see the care recipients and vice versa. But there are dedicated people that during all of this, they're still going right into their jobs. They're taking care of people. Everybody's pitching in. Nobody's left out in the cold unless they want to be left alone. Mm-hmm. So we're all trying to, support one another. A lot of the caregivers, a lot of them have stepped outside of the box, which we've talked about in other meetings, like for your own self-nurturing. Oh, I always wanted to try painting. A lot of them have joined an outdoor painting group. One of the caregivers facilitated it. Because yes, it's wonderful, and things that I would encourage people to do in the past, they're kind of desperate now. They're like, all right, maybe I'll try that. Maybe people are journaling that thought it was a silly idea to begin with. They're journaling, they're sharing their results. So there are some very positive things, make lemonade with the lemons. So it's going well. I mean, better than I had hoped or expected because of people sharing and caring for one another.
I can't help but think that one of the biggest stresses, and I'm sure it's such a source of sadness for these caregivers, is the loss of the relationship with the care recipient. That in many cases, this is a parent or a
Yes.
spouse. And you just want to finish by commenting on that and how
Sure.
caregivers manage it.
So a big piece of what we do is we connect their journey with the grief process. They are grieving. They're grieving a relationship, the loss of a relationship. They're grieving maybe plans they had. We're going to travel when they're grieving a regular lifestyle. So what we talk about with that is be gentle with yourself. Let other people, your friends, your family know that it's not when we lose someone that we're grieving. It's now. We're grieving now. We're grieving all these normalcies. So we try to take back some of that. Like we love to go out to eat with a group of people. Well, go out just the two of you or with one other couple. Hand a little note to the wait person and say, please be patient. My companion has dementia. That works tremendously well. You can still do a lot. Like you might have gone on a vacation for 2 weeks before. Well, go for a long weekend. Tailor it to what, it's not all or nothing. Typically, you can do other things, but when you look at the grieving process, it's always be gentle with yourself. Just don't say, I should be able to change this. I should be able to do that. If I can only figure this out, meet them where they're at. If you get agitated, which is absolutely normal, don't feel guilty about that. It's normal. Walk away, go sit out in the yard with a drink, coffee or tea, hopefully. Take a walk, take a short walk. How a caregiver handles this, and there are so many resources. It's a free program. Senior Care does it. There are lots of councils on aging, hospitals, a lot of people help with this, but you can have choices and you can have a healthier journey and join with other people that are going through the same thing. So I think the biggest piece is if you find yourself criticizing, self-criticizing, and if you find yourself having trouble sleeping, concentrating, stomach aches, headaches, any of the stress-related things, ask for help. It's not you define it exactly how you want the program to go. You can be in, you can be out. It's entirely, you have complete control. Some people want to talk every week, some people once a month. It depends on what's going on. Some people are a few days, several days in a row when they're trying to set up a backup plan. But there is help and there are choices. And the first thing you want to do is make sure there isn't a medical condition, urinary tract infection, something else going on that is not dementia or exacerbates the current situation. So all kinds of answers, all kinds of resources online if you don't want to do it in person. The help is there.
It's been really important to have these conversations with the senior care people, and I felt very informed by them, and I hope the rest of the community has too.
It was cool that they're caring for their caregivers. I thought that was just a nice little twist on what's going on, and people probably don't consider all the things that they're going through too right now.
And can I just add how hard it is to say that? As people may have noticed, I've struggled with support for the caregivers who are providing care for people who need care. It's tough.
Yeah. So anyway, tip of the cap to Susan, Doughty, and everyone at Senior Care. They join us every couple of weeks or so we'll have an update from you there soon. Tomorrow we have State Senator Bruce Tarr joins us here in Cape Ann today, and probably some sort of mystery guest as well. We have a busy week lined up for you, so we will catch you tomorrow.